how I feel about talking about the PlayStation 5, primarily because not many people own this console or have owned it for long enough to genuinely have an opinion on it. I've owned my PS5 since June, July, so I've had some time to understand it and critique it in any capacity, and I gotta admit, I'm not too excited about the PS5 like I was when the console was released back in November. Considering how we can all agree that the PS5 launch was an unmitigated disaster, can we still make the same argument about the console itself? Well, allow me to give my opinion about this console in today's video and see if it really is worth the painstaking patience you have to get your hands on one of these. Let's start with the fact that Xbox hasn't really been much competition for Sony over the years. The Xbox 360 was legendary, but so was the PS3. The PS4 sold double what the Xbox One sold, and hell, the Xbox One did worse than the fucking Nintendo Switch. God, I hate the Nintendo Switch. But the Xbox Series X has been, above all else, a proper competitor to the PS5. Don't get me wrong, the PS5 has 4 million more copies sold than the Series X, but that's a lot closer than what the previous generation had to offer. I will always stand by the fact that if Microsoft marketed Xbox as a computer at console price, people would be flocking to buy that shit. Hire me, Bill. And does this mean that the Series X is better or at the same level as the PS5? I'm not going to answer that. Opening a can of worms that has two hostile fan bases on both fronts is not something I want for Christmas, so I'll stick to answering my first question. Was the PS5 an unmitigated disaster? No, I can see why people would believe this. It's extremely difficult to try and purchase this console, but that's due to the pandemic shortages and reselling dickwads with no mothers using bots to buy 15 different PS5s and sell them all at $1,000 a piece. Hard to get doesn't make a console bad. If anything, it makes it extremely popular. What I will say is a valid argument is pointing out the lack of PS5 exclusives at the moment, and you know what? That's a good point. But I would argue that this was a problem with the launch, and the greatest example of this that we have was Cyberpunk 2077's mess that, whether or not anybody wants to genuinely admit, was kind of Sony's fault, at least partially, for not addressing the reselling issue that was predicted to happen for months up to release. It's why Resident Evil Village has a PS4 version, Cyberpunk's PS4 version was absolute garbage. You would have made garbage too if you were informed last minute that not everybody was going to be able to grab a PS5, and by not everybody, I really mean 2% of the PlayStation fandom. Not a lot of PS5 exclusives have been released at all, and it's taken well over a year for them to even be teased, and that's because of the uncertainty of success if a game were to release solely on a console that barely anybody owned. So yeah, the whole not enough exclusives argument relates to the launch, not the console in general. The power of the PS5 is incredible. Games load quick, for the most part. FPS reaches far past 60 and into 120 territory, which isn't all that great, but for a console, that's impressive. The haptic controls are probably the worst part of the controller. Well, that and the fact that the PS5 controller is a little wide for the job, but he gained a few pounds. Another thing I like about the PS5 is that there's a digital-only edition. Many people, like myself, only have digital games in their library, and to be able to pay less because of that really can be a huge payoff to never buying disc games, no matter how fun it may be walking into a GameStop. But my biggest holy shit moment about this console is the sheer size of this gorilla. The PS5 makes my PS4 look like a damn child, and that's not exactly a bad thing considering how much power this thing holds. So, to reiterate, the PS5 at launch was absolutely bad. There are no words that can describe the shit show that was created by Sony's both past and present inability to give a shit. The PS5 as a whole, however, is an incredible console with flaws that do their best to hinder the next-gen experience, but fail miserably. Hey, this wasn't a comedic video. Am I getting depressed? Nah, I just wanted to give an honest opinion about a console I've spent some time loving and hating, and there's no real comedy that I can give that I wanted in this video. Thanks for tuning in to day 6 of Bluestuff's 12 Days of Christmas. Why do I say Bluestuff like it's the third person? That's literally me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment whether you have a PS5, and if you lost a limb trying to get one, subscribe, and click the bell to get notified for tomorrow's Christmas video. 6 more days until I get my hula hoop. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.